Hello, welcome to the Blissfully Lit podcast. My name is Sammy. I am your host, and today we have a very special being with us. This is someone who's near and dear to my heart, and she jumped right in there so quickly and so easily. This is Andrea Ballard. She was one of my teachers in yoga teacher training. And Andrea is a beautiful soul. She owns Union Yoga and Wellness. This is located in Fortville, Indiana. She's also a labor postpartum doula, and she loves working out, marathons, swimming, being outdoors, especially in the lake, and hanging out with her husband and her 4 adult children. She has a loving golden retriever named Maggie and enjoys getting out at the concerts, especially Dave Matthews bands. We're big on traveling, both of us, and I'm sure we share that passion. Another passion that we both share is this deep-rooted passion for creating meaningful connection. So welcome, Andrea. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So to get started, I'd love if you'd like to just share a little bit about yourself. I know that I gave you somewhat of an introduction, but anything that you'd like to share with our audience as we get started.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love doing things like this and making the connections with people and sharing my passions for yoga and just community and so forth. So yeah, I just, anything that I can help to get the word out about just continuing to cultivate community, connection with others, I'm here for it. So.
Thank you, Andrea. So before we dive in, I'd love for you to share what magic means to you and how it plays a role in your journey of life.
Magic to me is connection with others, building community with others, and meeting people where they are in their seasons of life. We're all on our different paths, and showing kindness, compassion, and empathy to those that maybe aren't on the same path as you or season of life, but just understanding from where people are coming from. And I think when we meet people where they are in life, we're able to understand people from a different capacity and meet people where they are. You never know, when you start to have those connections and conversations, you discover, when you peel away those layers, you have a lot more in common with others than you think. So I think that's just really important, to staying connected with others and just meeting people where they are and just showing compassion for the season of life that they're in.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And
Absolutely.
it's such a simple concept that
Exactly.
can be so overlooked.
hmm And I think we get so wrapped up in, our own stuff,
Mhm.
and we don't take the time to connect because, we're living in a post-pandemic world. And, I think to some extent, the observations that I've seen, people are still kind of slowly still coming out of their shells, coming out of that mental from, various issues that maybe they discovered in the last 5 years. And so I think we're slowly coming out of that and coming together to, come into more of like being connected with others in that capacity. And I just think if we still continue to move forward in that direction, and continue just to stay in conversation with people and learn where they're coming from, that, we can all coexist in a peaceful way. So
Yeah. And I think that really builds that connection, that heart connection with other people, and can really help
exactly.
them to open their hearts and be more willing to experience what life really has to offer for you.
Exactly.
So I'd love to hear more about your journey of life. It seems like you've been through some amazing experiences to become the amazing woman you are. And you are truly an inspiration to me, and I know you're an inspiration to all your students. And everyone's life that you've touched, especially your children.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome. It comes from my heart. It's completely
Oh,
true.
that's so sweat. Yeah, I got started in the world of, I think, or you wanted to know a little bit more about how I kind of got started in the world of yoga and stuff,
I'd love to hear
just
any
kind of the journey.
journey that transformed your paths
Yeah, I think,
that you feel called
you
to.
know, having my first daughter, um, back 20, she's 26 now, having my first child 26 years ago, I went through, and this wasn't talked about back then, I went through severe case of postpartum. And 26 years ago, it just wasn't a thing to talk about. Like back then, you know, people talking about mental health, talking about therapy, in my case, postpartum, it was more of a private thing, a shh, don't talk about that type of situation. And I'm so glad that's opened up in this day and age where we can and we have that space, that safe space to talk about it. But back then, unfortunately, the provider that I had basically told me I had the baby blues and to suck it up and move on. And these were really deep-rooted issues that I just didn't feel right about, that as far as I didn't know what postpartum depression was. I later learned on that's what it was. But my mom was the one that saw that I was just falling apart. I was crying all the time. I didn't want to hold my child, and I was afraid to speak up for fear of back then. You know, I didn't know if I said any more to my doctor, if somebody was going to call CPS on me, because I
Mhm.
just sat and cried and just wasn't experiencing what you saw. You know, we didn't have social media back then, but on TV or in books, that it's supposed to be this blissfully wonderful thing, and it wasn't for me. And back then I didn't have a lot of friends that were having kids yet. I was 27. And so my mom begrudgingly took me to my first yoga class. And I literally cried the entire time. I sat, I think, in child's pose. I barely moved. I cried, but it was a good thing. You know, crying to me is a release of letting go. And so, but it was the most, I can't even explain it. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my entire life. I don't even think I breathed through the entire thing, but I was completely hooked. And so from there was like, I need to know more. I went back weekly and I just kept going and going and learning the different things about breath technique, movement, mindset, things of that nature. And from there, it just took off. And as I slowly took that journey into wanting to become a teacher, I knew that I wanted to help women in some capacity, not to have to go through that experience that I unfortunately did, so that I can help their transition. And that's why I'm a doula as well, their transition, to be a little more smooth. And, you know, and I think we all go through the experiences that we do in order to share our stories to hopefully help others as well. So, that's kind of what started my journey down the yoga path, started my journey down the holistic path and the wellness path. You know, another aspect of it is my father passed away when I was in my early 20s from bladder cancer. And that kind of sparked, he was in his late 40s, and that really, you know, set the fire in me to really learn a lot about organic concepts, you know, wellness concepts, alternative therapies, and things of that nature. And so, you know, and discovering that with yoga has been one of the things that putting this whole wellness, trying to live not just, you know, movement with yoga, but this whole lifestyle around it, and this whole wellness of how we think, how we move, how what we put into our bodies. It's an all complete connection that I've seen evolve over the past 25 years, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I love to see that it's becoming a little more mainstream and not so closed-minded. So that back then was always my mission, to try to educate people more on those topics.
Yeah. And you do it so seamlessly and
Well, and the thing of it is that people, you know, you can do it, but you have to live it. And I'm not saying do all the things at once. Pick one or two things that really resonate with you, you know, from a nutritional standpoint. You know, say, you know, replace like a pop with a glass of water, or you know, go take a yoga class, or just go walk around the block, or do some like listen to a podcast on personal growth. Start with one thing. I don't tell people to just like you have to evolve completely overnight. It's a lifelong journey, and there's going to be trial and error, just like anything. You might connect with yoga, you might connect with running. You might connect with personal growth. You might connect with therapy instead. Find those things in your season of life, and it will constantly evolve as you change in your seasons of life. Find those things in the moment that resonate with you and connect with you, and then go from there and watch the growth. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that because I think a lot of people try to jump into, you know, this new lifestyle and
Yeah.
they want to do everything and they want to
Yeah.
do everything so perfectly.
Yes.
And that's just
Yes.
not realistic.
That's not realistic, and it can get overwhelming too.
Yeah,
So that's why I would say just start with one thing on a Monday or a two. It doesn't have to be a Monday. Just start, and I think that sometimes that holds people back because there's so much more now with social media and with just all the things. And I'm not discounting social media. I think it's great. I love it. I only put in my social media feeds things that are positive, things that will educate me, things that will help me personally grow.
yeah,
Um, just start with one thing that you're like, you know what, I've always wanted to try this, but I've been afraid to. And I always say fear means something that you're on the right path. You're doing something important. You're doing something, or not saying important, but you're doing something that's meaningful.
yeah.
So if you're scared, you're on the right path. That's a
So,
good thing.
so on that note, because I face fears too, and I know that it means growth.
Yeah.
Um, what's a moment that you remember having a lot of that fear and it was like a huge growth?
Just recently opening the studio 6 months ago. Um, this has been a dream of mine for 25 years, and I'm going to tell you, I let fear and doubt get in my way. I made excuse after excuse after excuse, whether it be money, whether it be kids. I have 4 kids, as you said. They are my love. They are my priority. And I every time I would find a space to go to pull the trigger, I would let fear get in my way, and I said, nope, I can't do it. And I can't tell you how many times I did that. And so when this space in Fortville fell into place, it was just everything in me said, this is your time. This is your time to shine. And when we got to opening day, that month of December, I'm not kidding you, for 2 weeks straight, I probably threw up every single day. I let fear consume me so bad because looking back on it, I probably, I overthought things, and I had this need to be perfect, and it has to look like this studio over here because their studio is so beautiful, and I have to have this and I have to have that or I can't open it. No, looking back on it now that I'm kind of on the other side of it, no, you just need a space to open up, get people in. Nobody cares. They really don't care. They just want a place to connect and move. And so I put so much pressure and so many expectations on myself with opening this studio, to the point of I was like, I'm not kidding you. I texted my landlord and said, I can't do this. I quit. And I knew it was just me. And thank God for my husband. Thank God for my therapist. They kept me grounded. I tapped back into, because I let all the things that I have learned over the years, how to keep myself grounded, how to keep myself in check, so to speak. I let all that go. So what I had to do is sort of revert back a little bit and like, okay, let's just start with one thing that I know that I can connect with to get me back into that grounding. It was just simply doing child's pose every single day for 5 minutes, or a legs up and then a legs up the wall at night every day and slowly I got myself back, and starting back to journaling, starting back to doing personal growth, listening to podcasts, things of that nature. And I slowly said, okay, this is I built it up in my head to be something horrible, and it really isn't. It's this great thing, and why am I acting this way, right? And so again, I was letting fear. And so I tapped back into the tools I know I have. And getting back to being my authentic self, getting back to the things that I love, getting back to the roots of why I'm doing this, the why. And I don't know if you've heard of, I forget the name of it, but it's like the 5 whys, where why am I doing this? And then you answer the question, okay, why? Okay, why? And so I went back to the roots of that. And it was like, oh, okay, I'm doing this because at the end of the day, I love to help people. I love to connect with people. I love to share. And it's not about just yoga, it's just about connecting in general with people, because I feel people are so just just they're going about their days, and they're just living like these lives on autopilot, and it's like, wake up, and I hope that I can be a vehicle with the space that we've created to wake people up, to come back to that connection, so that was this has been a big a big transition of really getting out of my comfort zone and really finally getting to the root of fear and helping me. I'm not saying get through it, because we're all going to have elements of fear throughout our life, but how can I um manage it, and how can I talk to myself, treat myself better? Because through all of this, through the therapy, through the experience, I've learned that I felt undeserving. I've always felt undeserving. And so those are the things, the layers I'm working through, to why do I feel undeserving, and like tapping into that stuff. And I think because of that, I've become a better version of myself, as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner, as a friend, as, all the things. And you just have to keep doing the work and keep asking the questions why, and stop living in this sort of autopilot, if you will.
Wow. Thank you for sharing such a vulnerable story.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's scary. But to me, it's like, if you, and I think I've always lived in the non-scary, the stuff that's easy, the stuff that I can control, the stuff that I know is going to be okay. And I really honestly think this is probably, besides finding out I was having twins at 7 months, that was pretty scary. But you know what? You do it. You do it. You just take one step, one action step, and you slowly doing that. You don't have to think, you know, 15 steps down the road. Think just the I remember when we had the twins, like I finally got the mindset, like, okay, we can do this. And I just remember when we brought them home, for example, get me to breakfast, get me to lunch, get me to dinner, get me to bed. And it was just finding that routine, taking one step at a time. And it was like every single day I kept taking steps forward. Okay, this isn't so bad. And so that's how I tapped back into that with the studio. Because like, in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't go to studio. I'm scared. I was even terrified to teach. And I've been teaching for 25 years. And so it was like, okay, just get in there and just teach one class. Okay. Say hello to one person today. Okay, reach out to, it was just, and it didn't make it so overwhelming. And so that's how I have a structure now, that I do three things every single day that help, whether it be help with my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, whatever, three action steps that keep me moving forward, so that, you're not tapping back into the fear, the doubt, the undeserving, because if you live in that mindset, I'm telling you, it will consume you, as I'm sure you've experienced, it can really consume you. And to the point of, do you feel like you can't do anything.
Yeah, I've definitely been there before. And um, it brings up some interesting concepts actually. So recently I had a friend who mentioned that in life, being your authentic self and um, just really putting yourself out there is about breaking the pattern. And
Hmm.
you're breaking your old pattern. You're breaking the
Yes.
pattern that you've been used to, you've been comfortable with. And those small steps that you say that you're taking each day, that's breaking the pattern. I do that too. Like I'll be like, oh, but I have this task list and I want to do this, this, and this today. But when I notice that I need to step back because I'm slowing down and I'm not getting those tasks done, I have to break that pattern. And as soon as
Hmm.
I break that pattern, those tasks get done quicker than they ever would have.
Hmm. And just because you have like a task list, we all do, I'm sure, doesn't mean you have to get it done.
Mm.
And it's learning to, and that's something new that I'm learning to do, because I'm such a giver. I want to help others. It's really, really important to me to see people just, I want to bring out the best in people, like whatever it is, their journey. And one of the things I've learned is I also have to set boundaries for myself. And that's not something that I've done a great job of. And so that's something that I'm learning right now, is to set those, like, you don't have to work 24/7. You don't have to go, if you're in that season of life, to every single kids practice or, you know, game or whatever. It's okay to set aside time for you. That is, I looked at rest as sometimes as failure, and that's so not true. That is like one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is to take the time to rest. Do nothing. I mean, that's how I raised my children. I didn't put them in 5,000 camps in the summer. I taught them to say, go out, be bored, go, just be. It's okay, because you have to have that balance, of rest and movement, flexibility and strength, things of that nature. And if you don't, it's just, you're going to be walking sideways, so to speak. So it's important to set those boundaries, to take the rest, it's okay if you don't finish the task list. So what? It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. And I've always been a softie for that. And um it took a lot to break that perfectionism
Yeah.
within myself.
Yes. That's a hard one. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I I get it. Yeah. That's something that I discovered in the studio. I didn't realize what a perfectionist I was until I got into my own space because, and I take myself out of it. Like when I go to studios to practice, for example, I don't pay attention to what's around. I pay attention to being in class, being in the moment, connecting with others. And I got wrapped up in, well, my studio doesn't look like this. And I don't have this and I don't have that. And it was just, I spiraled and I'm like, what? Stop, just stop. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to, nothing in life has to be perfect, So
Yeah.
I get it. I didn't realize how much I struggled with that until I was in it, really.
And it's good to embrace the messy
Yeah.
because
Oh, absolutely.
it's the part
Yeah.
of life that is worth
Yeah.
living. That's the now, that's the present, and that's the beautiful.
That's the good stuff I've learned over the years. The
Yeah.
messy is the good stuff because the messy is what shapes who we are, our experiences, our stories, and looking back on the messy, like I could tell you some stories of the messy and looking back on it, it just cracks me up. Some of the things that I went through and I'm like, or it just inspires me like, wow, you know, we did that or I did, you know what I mean? And so if I could tell people, if anything else, embrace the messy, enjoy the messy. I know it's sometimes hard in it, but there are lessons in it because if you don't, if you're messy, like if something in your life that you don't want repeated, it will keep coming back into your life until you learn those lessons of growth and like how to change, like you said, the patterns and change your way of thinking, of movement, of how you act. It will still keep repeating into your life until you learn those lessons. And, I've learned some of those the hard way, unfortunately, and I'm still learning them, but I have the tools now to take a step back instead of living in my ego going, what's wrong with me? Or why don't they like me? Or why? It's now you can take a step back and say, okay, let's take a moment here. Let's assess the situation. This isn't working. Let's figure out the why and let's take action steps to take another path. Again, it's all about that trial and error.
Yeah. And it's also about having that clarity and
Right.
asking the right questions and, reassessing, is this right for me? Or is this not
Yeah.
right for me?
Yeah.
Should I go up this path or should I go up that path? And you're the one
Uh-huh.
who determines it.
Exactly. And sometimes and everybody has their own way of making those decisions. For me, it's sitting in quiet. It's sitting in meditation. I do this. I follow a gentleman called his name is Brandon Richard. I have his app. It's all about personal growth and things of that nature. And a meditation I actually really connected with, which I never thought I would from somebody like that. I always thought I got to be with meditating with my gurus and my Swamijis and all that stuff. And that's great, and this is like this everyday motivational speaker, but you're going to find your lessons in places you don't even realize. You're like, huh, that's, but when you're paying attention, it's amazing what you discover. And so I listened to one of his podcasts and I was like, oh, okay, I'm intrigued. And so now every day around 2 or 3 o'clock, I do what's called a release meditation that I learned from him, where I just sit or I'll lie down and I set the timer. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 20 minutes, it's just whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And I just say in my mind, like a meditate, like a mantra, release, release. I set an intention. Perhaps sometimes I'll set an intention like, okay, I need to release fear or perfectionism, or please guide me on the direction where I want XYZ to go. And then I do in these and I take that time to rest, to take a step back, release, release. And that's how I'm finding for me right now in the season of life that I'm in, where I'm finding clarity, where you've ever heard people say, you need to take a step back from something if you're overworking in some situation or project or what have you. Take a step back, walk away. That's kind of my moment to walk away, do this release meditation. And that's where I find clarity.
That's so wonderful. I also do different meditations, and that's kind of
Do.
how I find clarity. Um, I love that you shared that because there are these tools that we have, and we don't realize that they're going to show up in our lives.
Yeah.
Um, I've I've had it from random strangers
Have
in
you?
conversations, and
I
I'm just
love
like,
that.
what just happened?
Yeah.
This person I do not know and I'm never going to see again just told me
Right.
something that resonated so deeply and woke me
Right.
in this
Right.
moment.
But that's you embracing the moment, being present, letting go of expectations, and just having an open mind and open heart to your experiences. And when you do that, it's amazing when you get out of your own way, so to speak, it's amazing the things that you discover, like the connections that you make, like you just said, you made with a complete stranger, and it's pretty cool when you open yourself up to that, just the people that you meet and the experiences that you allow yourself to have, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it can be really cool and um that that state is how I describe it is kind of like a flow state, and it's
Hmm.
being in your authenticity, and it's
Hmm.
just connecting and actually allowing our true nature to flow through us, and that nature really thrives on connection and
Hmm.
interconnect interconnectedness with others, and having that social capacity, but also having that space and setting those boundaries for yourself when you need them.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
just love that you're touching on all these components because I personally, from my own experience, have noticed that doing all these activities really bring out that natural essence that we're all very capable of.
Hmm.
And in this technological world and kind of the structure that has been built, this masculine structure, a lot of our femininity and that natural flow has been put on the back burner. But we have this
Hmm.
magic inside us that really gets activated when we embrace and we connect and we use our tools, we take
Hmm.
breaks, and we really find that true essence that's within us.
Hmm. And I think a lot of people too are maybe scared to tap into that, and people like yourself being, living your authentic self, people, when we surround ourselves with others that are really living their true authentic self, it only inspires us to do the same. It's who you surround yourself with. What is I read somewhere that you're the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. Think about those 5 people, and I'm not talking about like, your spouse or your kids, but outside of that family structure, who are the 5 people that you surround yourself with? And that's something that's very intentional, that now as I'm getting older, that I really am more intentional about my friendships. It's about the quality, not the quantity. And it's made it very, I have a small circle that I'm very intentional with, that I'm very dedicated to, and I cultivate those friendships. And I think when you surround yourself with those people that, that really inspire you, bring out the best in you, that support you, even when you make poor decisions, or they think, they love you no matter what, unconditionally, right? Um, and you continue to grow that tribe, so to speak. I mean, the possibilities are endless in life.
That is so true. And
Hmm.
in these last couple of years, as I've, grown into my authenticity, I've found pieces of that tribe, and it's some of the deepest and most meaningful
Hmm.
relationships that I could have ever imagined.
And it
And
takes time too.
yeah, it takes time, and it also takes a lot of truth and being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
And that can
exactly.
be a struggle to be brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah. And it starts with you, as you know from your practice as well, that when you're true to you and you're authentic in what you do, you're only going to attract like-minded people in that capacity that are true and honest and authentic. And I think that the more you start to peel the layers, taking care of you, setting the bound, whatever it is for you, setting the boundaries, finding your tribe, doing the things that you find joy in, it's going to attract those people that, and then that builds and builds and builds, you know what I mean? And there's no place, because when you lead from a place of love, kindness, compassion, there's no place, there's no place for anger, hate, all the things, right?
Yeah.
When you meet people where they are, rather than judging, you meet them where they are. Like, you don't know, we're all on our own path, and you don't know what somebody else is going through. And I tell my kids this too sometimes when, oh, so and so did this, and I'm like, listen, you don't know what path they're on right now. And so you need to show some grace and some kindness, even though that might be somebody who angers you or pisses you off or what have you. Show them some grace because you don't know what their backstory is, right? And so when you meet them where they are, it just changes, I feel like, the mindset of how we see others, right?
Yeah. It completely changes it, and it allows a lot more humility
Yes.
into
Yes.
situations. And um, with being an energetic practitioner, there's another component to that that
Hmm.
a lot of people don't really realize. And
Right.
having that humility versus that irritation or that anger or whatever other emotions arise, and holding that space for that person can really change their trajectory in
Yes.
a good way,
Yes.
because you're not reflecting back to them what they're sending out. You're giving them
Exactly.
you're feeding them a new energy of positivity, and maybe
Hmm.
they don't see that as often, and that can raise their vibration, and that can help them to grow and to become better.
And like you said, as an energy worker yourself, is that, you come across people and you don't know what's going on in their lives, and they maybe have been they've led this life of constant challenge, and just having somebody there to support them, hold space for them, show grace for them. It takes one person, somebody like in this example, if you've got a client and they've had a rough go of it for a really long time, and it's just like when you get being down and down and down, it's hard to come back from that. And one person can change the trajectory of someone else's life by just holding space for grace, for kindness, compassion. I don't care what they've done. It's just, if they see somebody, it's like, okay, somebody's finally in my corner. You know what I mean? By with that kindness and compassion and love, so forth, is that it just takes one person to change someone else's life, if, from an outside capacity. And I mean, I know that comes from within, you're in charge of your own life and all the things, but by having somebody in your corner like that to help you kind of guide you out of that or whatever it is that's going on in your life, you know, we need more of that. And I think that it can really make a difference in people's lives for the better by just holding space for them to be who they are, to let out what they need to let out, to, grow and heal and so forth.
Oh, that just touches my soul.
You're changing lives with the work that you do. You don't even realize it, but it really, you really are. And we need more of that.
Thank you, Andrea. You do too.
Thank
You
you.
do too. And I know that from attending your classes. And
Well, and people like you and I, like, in that energy work field and so forth, and movement, is that you attract people with your authenticity. And it gives people, I think, permission to also, like, oh, it's okay to, be my, do this and, be my authentic self and be this and be that and so forth. I mean, when I teach in my classes, I know functional movement, alignment, all that is very important. You want to keep people safe from a physical perspective. But where I come from in my classes is I try to be as authentic as I can when I teach. So it gives people permission oh, this is okay. I don't have to ask for permission. I can be who I'm meant to be, and I don't have to live in this. I don't have to live my life for somebody else's happiness.
Yeah.
You know, if me being, I look at it as you come out of that shell and you shine becoming your authentic self, and somebody doesn't like it and you piss them off, good. They probably weren't meant to be in your life anyways. To me, it's like you're shedding away those that were not meant to be in your life. And it's opening the door for those that are. So keep peeling those layers to find who you are and it's a lifelong journey and it changes with the seasons of your life. But if you stay true to who you are, getting into those layers of your core of your well-being, it only gets better, and it,
Yeah,
it releases those that are not no longer serve you and brings in those that are.
that is so beautiful, and it's exactly what I needed to hear at this moment. So thank you so
No.
much. But
Good.
sometimes those moments can be really challenging for
Yeah.
people, and
Hmm.
in the moment it feels like, whoa, I don't want to do this.
It's
But
scary. Fear.
you step into that and poof,
Yeah. Yeah.
more
Yeah.
expansion, more growth. You get closer to that thing that just lights you up.
Hmm.
So, with that thing that lights you up, I'm curious, what is your next big aspiration on your journey of conscious transformation?
Oh gosh, I'm always constantly opening the studio has just opened. It's like I look back like, why did I wait so long? Because I'm finding I'm stepping into my true self. And I that's why I share this is why it's so important to me to share this, with people. It doesn't you just have to start, And so I wish I would have known a lot of this a long time ago, but I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on and I'm so happy about that. And so this opening this space has really expanded my mind to just new ideas, new extensions. And right now I'm just in the season of just, I'm in a community, which I think is really cool, where we're not only building a yoga community, but we're truly building a community in general. Like I've met so many wonderful people and we're truly building, it's a smaller town. So we're building community within our yoga community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing this town back to life, so to speak. And I'm really enjoying going out and just meeting people, connecting with people. Eventually, I don't know. I don't really kind of set expectations at this point. I'm just keeping an open mind and an open heart, and I'm saying yes. That was a hard thing for me to say yes to things because fear of spending money, fear of it's going to take away from my children, fear of it's going to blah 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 blah. And so the one thing that kind of my I guess mantra is this year and just in general I'm moving towards is you don't know till you try and say yes to the scary because there's always good on the other side of that, right? It's just like if that the way I look at it is, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death. I'm scared shitless to do this. I'm on the right path. I'm doing something meaningful. So I'm not necessarily setting goals, so to speak. I mean, yes, I have business goals and stuff, but like I'm not really setting goals for myself right now, personally, as far as I want to accomplish this, I want to accomplish that. Because sometimes, like when I've accomplished things, it's kind of like, now what? I that's been my problem is when I set goals and there's nothing wrong with setting goals. We all should be,
No.
doing all of that. But when I set I guess expectations, I don't enjoy them. I don't enjoy the journey, if you will. For example, when I did my first Ironman, I did not enjoy the journey as much as I should have. I just was so focused and hell bent on getting to the finish line. And looking back on, reflecting on that journey, it was like, holy cow, I met a lot of fun, cool people that are still in my life. Right. And I don't think I appreciated it as much as I have. And so same thing going back to postpartum. I didn't appreciate my daughter's first year of life because I was so in that knee deep of hell. So what I've taken from those big life experiences, with and same thing when I with the twins too. I didn't experience their first life because it was just like this mindset, right? Of go, go, go. And so what I've taken from those experiences now is with growing this journey I'm on now with the studio is I'm just going to have no expectations. I'm just going to be an open book, open heart, open mind, open experience. And if it's something that lights me up, if somebody comes to me, I want to try this, whatever. If it's something that lights me up and gets me excited, we're saying yes. And we're
Heck,
going to do it. And you know what? If it fails, so be it. I'm not going to look back and say, you know what? I don't regret it. I don't, we tried. You don't know till you try, right?
yeah.
So
There's
that's kind
something
of where I'm at right now.
there's something that one of my teachers always says, and I have it on a post-it note right here in front of me.
Yeah.
And you remind me of it. And he always is saying, fall down 7, get up 8.
I love that. Exactly. Exactly.
That's my approach to life now too, is
Yeah.
just like if it lights me up, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. And I
And
never did that. I was afraid to fall down. I put myself in positions where I wouldn't fall down. And, and I don't want that for people, learn from my mistake. I don't say they're mistakes, but they were lessons that I had to, and because I wouldn't let myself fall down, what do you think kept happening? That experience, that lesson kept coming back to, hey, you know, and you need to address this. And so I think opening the studio it's come to head for me in that emotional side of it, where it's like, you're going to fall down, you're going to fail, but that's okay. Though those moments where you go down, and like I said, you go through life in hills and valleys. Now, you've got the tools in the valleys to figure out how to get back up onto the hill, so to speak. And you don't know where that hill is going to take you. You might, and I've always tried to control where I'm taking myself, right? And this whole experience I'm on right now, I've just kind of just said, you know what? I'm going to get out of my own way. I'm going to stop trying to control this, and I'm just going to see where it takes me. And because of that, I've met the coolest people. I've met the town has been like the people in the town, the businesses that in the town, the people. It's just been I can't even describe it. An experience I don't think I've ever thought I'd ever had. And it's only going to continue to grow because I let all that crap go. I'm living from a place of authenticity, and that's an ever evolving thing. But when they see me, that gives them space to do the same. And one person can change, a life. And when they see that, hopefully they go out into their workforce or their friend group or and do the same.
a sort of domino effect.
Right.
So from what I'm understanding is, you found your why and your purpose,
Hmm.
and then you found your authenticity, and you're living in those, and you're al allowing yourself to live without having a firm expectation of the outcome.
Yes. Yes. I'm living with no expectations.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm working.
I
We're
mean,
all
it's
a work in
hard.
progress. I'm trying. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll kind of push through it and ignore it. And then, but then there are other times I'm slowly kind of moving a little away from that where it's like, wait, hold on, let's take a step back here. you know? So yeah, yes, I found my why. I found my purpose. Find the things that light you up, that find you joy, that find you passion, that you don't even feel like you're working. It's just because people want that, I feel, and people are attracted to that. And when I mean, I am personally, I only go to, for example, coming back to yoga, when I go to yoga classes where I see teachers that are authentic, that share their story about how they surrendered to something because I don't know, XYZ. They're sharing who they are. That's the stuff that I connect to. And I hope that people get that from the space that we've created. But it doesn't have to be going to a yoga class. Find your joy, your passion, and find people that share those same experiences, because it's a pretty cool journey when you are living in that space as opposed to fear, doubt, anger. It's very lonely and it's very sad. And I hate that for anyone to have to experience that. I mean, I know we're going to have those in life, but you know, if we can start to slowly take those baby steps, going back to just take one action step a day to move you in the direction that maybe something that you've always wanted to try, but you've been too scared to do. You don't know till you try. And if you fail, that's okay. That is completely okay, because I will respect the hell out of somebody that tries something and fails, then sits on the couch watching Netflix or whatever and doesn't do shit, you know? No. What that's not a way to live. We get one life. We're here for a short amount of time. So why not live it to the fullest, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have all these incredible senses and we have this great capacity in our brains to
Exactly.
build, to create, to enjoy, and all these incredible emotions, even the bad ones. I was crying the other day
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? This is so beautiful and it feels so
Mhm.
good. It
Yes,
feels so
exactly.
good. And
Yeah.
there's not like good and bad emotions. There's not.
No.
They're all
No.
this wonderful experience of life.
And I think that, like, that's a great way to put it. Like, and I think sometimes people put, those emotions, they put a negative connotation to it. I've done it. And you're exactly right. It's just that. It's an experience. It's a moment. It can be a defining moment or it can be a supportive moment, but it all the same. It's a moment. And it's how you choose the next steps to go from there. Like, do you choose to continue to live down that path of, and that's fine. Or do you choose to say, you know what, it's time for me to make a change? And only you can do that within, only you know that timetable. You can't tell somebody, you can, like one of my clients always says, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it, right? You have to, you have to want it.
Yep.
And, and I know, and all it takes is just one action step, one step, just saying, yes, I want to do this. That's a big, saying yes is like the biggest jump you ever do, right? Just
Yeah.
say yes.
Putting yourself out there.
Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. And you're not going to be for everybody. That's okay. And and I think I got caught up in that one in my younger years, in my 20s and 30s, that I had to be I had to be something or someone to everybody. And that's okay. I mean, that's, be who you are in that. And I know now that I'm not for everybody. I'm not the teacher for everybody. I'm not, a friend that's okay. But I'm not going to change. Don't change who you are to appease somebody else, because I promise you, you will be living in misery. It's not worth it. You
Yeah,
know,
I think that's such a good point, and it's something that I'm like constantly learning and
yeah.
re-understanding.
It,
And an analogy that just came to my mind is, we all have our special flavor of ice cream that we
oh,
love. And you can't disguise your flavor of ice cream for something else because when you taste it, it's still going to taste like your favorite flavor.
mm-hmm.
You can't like change the appearance of a mint chocolate chip and not taste mint when you taste it. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
exactly.
And that's your beautiful essence, and that is what makes you so special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't change who you are to meet somebody else's expectations. It's nothing good comes from that. And just being who you are and being in the moment, enjoying the messy is something that I've had to learn the hard way. But now it's just like I get it, and it's taken me 53 years, and but enjoy the messy. If I say anything, enjoy the messy. Just be in the messy. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to it's okay. I mean, I can't tell you, over the years, 25 years I've been teaching, that I've seen people cry in class, and and they apologize. And I'm like, for what? Don't apologize. You're being you, and you're releasing something, and that's okay. It's okay.
And it's so much better to let it out than to hold it in.
Yes. I always say better out than in.
Because when you hold it in, it holds you back.
Well, and when you keep holding and repressing things like that, I feel like it only hurts you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it creates disease, it creates the illness, there people. And I love to see over time that people are seeing that, yeah, there really is, now that we've got the research and the science to back it, there really is a connection between the mind and the body. And the
There.
thoughts that you put in your head are what you're manifesting. So be careful what you think, and be careful how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've done that to myself. And because of that, I've had to learn this lesson of, I'm not deserving, over and over, and it keeps coming back at me. And I'm finally understanding, I'm going to therapy for this, is like, yes, I do deserve this. Yes, I am deserving of XYZ. I deserve this. Because
Mhm.
I always put other people's needs ahead of mine, and I'm not deserving of taking rest. I'm not deserving of of taking a day off. I'm not deserving, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I am. Yes, I am.
You are.
Yeah. And that's going back to setting the boundaries, set the boundaries.
Thank you so much. You've shared so much inspiring content during this entire
Oh,
episode.
you're welcome.
I would love to end on this similar note with a short little, I would say, a pick-me-up meditation before we close out. And we'll just embrace this essence of, caring for yourself. And I'll guide us through a little bit of self-love, some self-forgiveness, because that has helped me a lot in the deservingness realm too. And I think it could be really, really good for our listeners to try out
Absolutely.
after all of this inspiring content.
Absolutely. I love it.
So I'll have you, if you're driving, please don't do this, pause it, save it for later. But go ahead and close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. And just recognize how you're sitting in your body. And noticing any thoughts, any emotions, any bodily sensations that are coming up. And recognize those in your attention and gently release them. Don't hold on to them, but just recognize them with no judgment. Just allowing them to come into your head like there's an open window and then out the other window like a small breeze. I want you to focus on your heart, just the area of your chest. Continuing with that slow, deep breath, just allowing your breath to regulate. Noticing with each inhale and exhale, it gets longer and longer. And focusing on your heart, I want you to picture someone you love, someone you care about. It can be a pet, a family member, a partner, child, someone who's special in your life and makes you feel special. And notice that love that you share for that person. And watch that person slowly float away into a beautiful bright light. Bring your palms to your heart, palms together. And now picture yourself sitting in front of you. It can be of any age, it can be now. Smile at yourself. Recognize the being within you. Tell yourself, I see you. I recognize that you are learning, growing, evolving. And part of that process involves time and lots of mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes, and so can you. With that understanding, I forgive you. I forgive you for the hurt or pain that you've caused me, or the hurt or pain that I've perceived that you caused me. I forgive you for those. And I humbly ask for your forgiveness for any hurt or pain that I've caused you or you've perceived that I've caused me. And I forgive myself. I let go of the shame and the guilt. Take a deep breath. Sigh it out. Let go. May peace and love be with me. May peace and love be with you. Send yourself any other affirmations that come to mind at this moment. And smile. Feel good about it. And tell yourself namaste. And slowly, as you're ready, open your eyes with a big, big smile, feeling that peace and that bliss within you. You can return to this at any moment if you ever want to experience that self love again. Thank you dearly, Andrea, for joining me for today's podcast and for sharing your love and your light with the world. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored to be here. You're such a beautiful soul. And just, I'm so glad to be in your universe.
Thank you. Likewise, likewise. You are such a blessing in my life, and I'm so grateful for you. To our listeners, thank you so much for listening and stay blissfully lit.